Fox Sports News.
OK, let's stay on football now. And Scottish giants Celtic are in Sydney preparing for a three-match tour of Australia, and their manager joins us right now, Lennon. Neil, thanks very much for coming in, mate. I understand this is your first time in Australia, but I'm sure you're expecting the weather to be a little bit better.
Well, we know it's the Australian winter, so it's quite similar to the weather back home in Glasgow at the minute. It was quite sort of interesting to see the rain, because we're quite used to it in Glasgow. But it's great to be here, and it's always been an ambition of mine personally to come to Australia, so to bring the team here is great.
Yeah, before we get into your tour, why are you guys here in Australia? What do you hope to get out of it?
Well, we've got a huge fan base here, so we'd like to, take the club around the world and brand the club. Obviously, make new friends as we go along, but it's very important for our preparation for the start of the season. Season starts earlier this year, so we have to hit the ground running, and once the guys get over the travelling, I think they're going to enjoy this trip.
Before we talk about Celtic's season last year, let's talk about the tour of Australia and, of course, the first game against the Central Coast Mariners. Have you taken a full-strength side to Australia, or is it a case of, I guess, blooding some youngsters as well?
Well, both. We've taken the whole squad with us. We've got 4 more guys joining us in Perth who had international duty in June, so we've given them a little bit of extra time off. So we've got the whole squad here, and we've got a couple of younger players in as well, because they're talented, and it's important for a club like Celtic, even though we're a big club, to bring through our own. The emergence of James Forrest last year, he had a big impact on the season, and we've got some good young academy players coming through, and the experience here in Australia will do them a world of good.
How much do you know about the A-League? I mean, how's it regarded in Scotland?
Well, we get a sort of highlighted programme of the league roundup every week, and it's broadcast once or twice a week. So I know a couple of players I've played with, Charlie Miller, and played against people like Craig Moore, Kevin Muscat, so I keep a little eye on it. And again, we have to be a bit more imaginative in who we sign. It's very difficult for Scottish teams to compete with English teams in the transfer market, so we look at different markets, Israel, Honduras, and Australia might be another area where we could tap into.
Well, you mentioned that. I guess the A-League, especially here, is considered as a bit of a breeding ground for some of our younger stars. Have you got one eye on, I guess, our side to see whether or not you can pick up one of our young stars?
Of course, yeah. And again, that's another reason why we came here, because it's an area that, British clubs wouldn't be too familiar with, and you never know, you might just be able to unearth a little nugget here or there, and I've got good friends from Australia, played with Zalko Kalic, and he gives me a little ear to what's going on down here as well. One
of those players, of course, is Mustafa Amini. How serious about him are you guys?
Well, we'll get a good look at him at the weekend, and reports we've had have been very positive, so it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to playing against us.
Let's talk about your season last year, and one of the lasting images from football around the world was when you were attacked by that Hearts fan. It's probably something that probably doesn't sit too comfortable with you to talk about, but when it all happened, and we were talking in the newsroom about it when it actually happened, it was remarkable pictures. What was going through your mind when it actually happened?
Well, it was quite sort of, it was over in an instant really, but it was sort of shock and anger, because that's the one. There was a lot of things going on last season off the field, but that's the one area where you think you'd be quite safe in your own technical area where you can concentrate on your job. And we played very well that night. We just scored a second goal, and then this guy jumps out of the crowd and decides to have a pop. And it was a wee bit sort of unsettling, to say the least, but I didn't want it to deflect away from the team. And I was lucky in a way, because my assistant coach Alan sort of just got the guy, before he could really take a good go at us, and then the security guys were on top of the guy very quickly. But it's things we're talking about that have no reflection on football. It's something that shouldn't really happen in football grounds anywhere, really.
Well, the SPL have come out and said that they won't be taking any further action. Are you satisfied with the way that the incident was dealt with, and do you think there's enough deterrence for it not to happen again?
Well, I think, it was a big embarrassment for Hearts. It wasn't just Britain, it was worldwide. We're here in Australia talking about it. So I think Hearts, according to the SPL, did everything they could from a security point of view. I'm a little bit disappointed with the outcome of that, but I think, hopefully it's a tipping point, the stuff that happened last season, and we're really hoping that the new legislation brought in by the Scottish Government will deter anybody else from trying it again.
Yeah, understandably, you would be disappointed with no action there. Let's talk about the football then. Okay. You boys, I can see you're very happy about that.
Move on.
You boys were so close last year. Halfway through the season, you were absolutely flying. What went wrong halfway through the season?
No, we had 3 home games in a row where we dropped points at home, which 6 points with 3 draws in a row, and that probably cost us in the long run. We played very, very well from the turn of the year. You know, we were excellent. Some of the football we played was fantastic, and you know, over the 7 games against Rangers, you know, the results went for us. Out of 5 or 6 of those games, we were predominantly the dominant team. But we're young. We made great progression throughout the season. We were delighted with the way some of the new players came in and adopted the Scottish game, and we hope we can go one better next year.
So you are confident from what you saw, despite starting so well and then dropping off, that you can go one better next season?
We didn't start the season well and drop off. We had just a little period in December where a few of our better players were injured. We had 92 points from the season, which is very, very good consistency. That would have won the league the last 3 or 4 years. So we need to go one better this year, because we can't afford to, you know, lose another title. You know, the Rangers, it's been 3 in a row now, and you know, the players have had a real good look at it this year, and they'll be really hungry going into this season.
Well, you were beaten by Rangers by that one point. I guess it's one rivalry in world sport that so many people are fascinated by. Tell us about it, and I guess when you go to play Rangers, whether it be in any different range of competition, is it something you really try and get up for?
You don't have to, you know. The fans will do that for you. The build-up to the games, like, you know, in the championship, you're going to play them 4 times. You know, Celtic Rangers going to be 4 times a season, and then you might draw them in the cup, and then you might get a replay in the cup, which happened last year. We had 7 Old Firm games last year, which is a record, and it's the talk of the city for weeks on end. And then the fallout is the talk of the city for weeks on end as well. And you get the bragging rights if you win until the next game. And they're incredibly passionate games. Historically, you know, it's a rivalry that goes back, you know, since time started, really. And it's not changed. There has been sort of things that happened last year that, you know, sort of brought attention to the game. But you can't change the passion. They're great games, and from a TV point of view, it's great.
It's great for us.
Great viewing, exactly, like great theatre.
One of those such incidents was, of course, your incident with assistant manager Ali McCoist. Can you give us a bit more insight into actually what happened there?
Well, it had been a very sort of high voltage game, you know, and there was a lot going on, and there was things that I didn't like, and there was things that Ali didn't like, and we had a quiet word with each other after the game. But again, like, you know, it was a bit of to and fro, but, you know, that's just, he's passionate about Rangers and I'm passionate about Celtic, and we do have a responsibility this year to make sure these things don't go too far. But you know, we're good. I wouldn't say we're good friends, but we're sociable enough to talk to each other after games now.
Right. So after that incident, it was all okay, pretty much straight away, or was there
pretty much straight away? Like, well, no, we had a drink and that after the game, and then there was a lot of fallout with the press for weeks on end. But you know, there were two Old Firm games since then, and there's not been a bad word between us. But you know, I can't guarantee that there won't be a fallout in the future. You know, because the passions run so high.
That's great to hear. Good for us. Let's talk about your skipper, Scott Brown. Are you confident of keeping him? We talked a few moments ago of how close you were last year. He'd be certainly one player you'd want to keep if you want to go one step further.
He had a great season last year. He's got a year left on his contract, but he's making all the right noises that he wants to stay, and obviously being the captain, and he had a big influence not in the dressing room, off the field, but he made some huge performances for us on the pitch as well. So he's one player that, you know, really we don't want to see go out the door. I can understand why there's clubs interested in him, because his consistency was so good last year, but he seems to enjoy it here, and you know, hopefully we can sit down and get something belted out over the next week or two.
What about talk of Celtic and Rangers perhaps moving into more European-style competitions? Of course, some time back there was talk that they would be part of the English Premier League. That fell through. But is that a hope for you, or are you quite happy with the way things stand?
Well, I mean, the two huge clubs who you know, we lose out on a lot of revenue compared to the English Premier League. You know, they get 30 million just for staying in the division, and we get 1 or 2 from the Sky money. So we have to be a little bit more imaginative in how we go about our business in the transfer market and attracting players in as well. It would be great if both the teams could go down and play in England, but they had a meeting last year with the EPL chairman, and it was a 22-0 vote against. You know, so I think, well, in theory, it would be fantastic. I think we're a bit of a way off that just yet.
All right, Neil. Well, mate, thanks very much for coming in. As we mentioned off the top, you've got games against the Central Coast Mariners, Perth Glory, and of course the Melbourne Victory. As we can see, the games and the dates and the stadiums there. The first game, of course, at ANZ Stadium over the weekend. Mate, thank you very much for coming in. We really appreciate it, and it was a great chat.
Cheers, no problem.
Enjoy your time in Australia.
Thank you.
Okay, well, you are watching Australia's sports leader, Fox Sports.